This show is for women who train harder, think bigger, and live bolder. Here, we don't level up. We set the standard. Strength, strategy, success. I'm Katie Fleece. Welcome to The Smoke Show. All right. So today we're getting into one of, I think, the most critical skills that you can have. And that's setting boundaries. Now, let me just start by saying, if you're serious about building a life you love, like actually one you love and keeping it, you need to stop treating boundaries like an afterthought, all right? Because boundaries are so much more than just saying no to something. They define who you are, what you stand for, and also what you're no longer available for. So let's be clear. Boundaries are not walls of like built out of fear, right? They are built from self-respect. And I think that's where most people get it wrong. It's a form of self-respect. They are not selfish, but they are absolutely necessary if you want to succeed without losing your damn mind and like soul-sucking energy. So if they're so necessary, then why do so many people suck at setting them? And I think it's because a lot of us were taught that setting boundaries is a bad thing. Like we were never taught how to set boundaries. We were taught how to accommodate, to never rock the boat, to be easygoing. And we were taught that being loved meant also being available 24/7. We fear that setting limits will make people mad at us or disappoint them, or maybe even worse off, like cause them to walk away. Any people pleasers out there? Yeah, me. Well, I used to be. I'm a recovering people pleaser. But the truth is, the absence of those boundaries are actually what destroys relationships, not the presence of them. And so when you have no boundaries, that is when resentment builds. What the fuck did I just say? Builds. Like you are, it's like betraying yourself over and over again. Like you're just trying to give little pieces of yourself away until you feel like burnt out. You start showing up drained, maybe even bitter. And then that is when the relationship actually dies. Okay. So boundaries, like what are they? They're like these little tiny invisible lines that basically define like where you end and where someone else begins. They protect your time, your energy, and your peace, which to me, that is most important. But they also allow you to say yes when you actually mean it, because you've learned the power of saying no without guilt. And so you can actually say yes to the things that you want to say yes to, and not without, or you can say that without a million other little things on your plate that you actually don't want on there. And I will say, I don't think boundaries are not about controlling others, but they are about, like I said, they're about respecting yourself. But before you can set them with anyone else, you do have to get crystal clear on what they actually are. So you may ask, like, well, how do you recognize when your boundaries are actually being crossed? I will say our bodies are trying to send us signals. So if you feel like a tightness in your chest, or that pit in your stomach, or you just like your heart starts racing, like your body is talking. Your body is talking to you. If you feel any sort of resentment or anger after certain interactions with people, or things that maybe you've said yes to that you just really did not want to say yes to. Again, that's your body's way of saying, like, waving a red flag. Saying maybe it's fine when it's absolutely not fine. And by the way, if there are any men listening to this episode right now and a woman says to you, it's fine, I am telling you right now, she doesn't mean it. It is not fine, okay? Or maybe you're dreading seeing someone, and you're just like replaying conversations in your head. You're getting passive aggressive. That might be a sign that your boundaries are being crossed. Those things that happen, those things that you're feeling, they're not random. They're not random. They're literally like I said, little red flags, smoke signals, whatever you want to say. Oh, smoke signals, get it? Smoke show. That are going off, okay? Your body knows before your mind catches up, so pay attention to it. Now, if you're new to setting boundaries, you're like, okay, Katie, all of that is really great, but I don't have any, so how do I start setting them? And how do I do it with confidence, right? So here's a few tips. When you're setting boundaries, first of all, you gotta be direct. And you do not have to justify. You do not have to justify your reasoning for setting those boundaries. You do not have to apologize. Please don't, okay? Don't soften your needs to make others feel comfortable. You can also use I statements like, I won't be available after 6 p.m. Keep it simple. You don't need 3 paragraphs trying to explain why you're not going to be available until after 6 p.m. It's just simply like, hey, I need this, and that's enough. Okay? So you can also, if it makes sense, you can also offer alternatives. So for instance, if your boss or whoever, your sister, your cousin, your BFF, whatever, says, hey, I need to meet in 30 minutes, or can you meet in 30 minutes? And you don't really either A, want to, or you just don't have time, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. You could say, hey, I can't meet today, but Tuesday works. So you can give an alternative without totally cutting them out. All right. Your needs, they matter. And so you need to treat your needs like they matter. Hey, it's Katie Fleece, head of the female division of Superhuman and your host here on Smoke Show. Listen, if you've been waiting for a sign to go after your strongest, fittest, hottest body, this is it. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need anyone else's permission. It's time to claim the body and the life you deserve. Go to smokeshowbody.com and take the first step toward building the ultimate version of you. Now back to the show. If you are new to setting boundaries and it's just not something that you're very good at yet, then you know what? You might need to practice a little bit. You might need to practice saying these things out loud, or, just writing them in your notes. Like if you've come up with something really good that's straight to the point, write it in your notes section on your phone. I don't care what you got to do, but you can practice them ahead of time. All right. Confidence comes from preparation. All right, now listen, this is a big one. How do you maintain boundaries even if people push back? And by the way, here's a spoiler alert. When you do set new boundaries, odds are you may have some pushback, and that's okay. Okay? You will have pushback from the people that benefited the most from you not having any. You could experience guilt trips or maybe accusations like you're selfish or you're different, passive aggressive comments, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But again, those people that are going to push back on you, they're the ones, like, they're the reason you need boundaries. And that's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. That's actually confirmation that you're finally doing something right and putting them in place like they probably should have been put in place a long time ago. Their reaction, it belongs to them. It doesn't belong to you. And it has nothing to do with you. And you are not responsible for someone else's discomfort with your growth. I just wanted to say that. Okay, moving on. Okay, so how do you set boundaries with people who drain the living piss out of you? All right, by the way, it doesn't mean these people are necessarily bad people. It just means that they drive you nuts because you haven't put anything in place and they just genuinely don't know how or when to approach you. But let me be clear, not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. Years ago, when I owned a gym, I was also training clients, teaching classes, doing all of the back end stuff. I was the face of the business. I was the brand. I was doing all of the things. And I thought it would be a genius idea to also give hundreds of people personal access to me via Voxer. Now, if you aren't sure what Voxer is, it's like a walkie-talkie app. It's actually a really great app. I love it. But why did I think that would be a great idea? I honestly have no idea. When I say that out loud, I'm like, that's the dumbest shit I think I've ever done. But we had so many people enrolled in this certain program, and a big selling feature of this program was that they got personal access to me, wait for it, 24/7. That is literally how we worded it. Like, what was I thinking? I clearly wasn't. But guess what? Guess what happened? I got very resentful. I got extremely annoyed when a message would come in at 10 o'clock at night. But guess what? It was my own fault. That's what was sold to them. That is what was promised to them. That was part of the program. So after, I don't know how long, but I quickly realized, okay, that's a terrible business model. So I said, we gotta restructure some things. And I remember making an announcement, and I was just like, hey, I will be reviewing and returning all messages during these days. And it was like 3 days a week, these days and times. And should you send me a message outside of those hours, just be aware that it will not be answered until the following business day. And you know what? I don't think, at least from what I remember, I don't think I got a single person that pushed back on that, at least to my face. They might have thought it, but really I didn't. And did I still get messages outside of business hours? Yeah, you bet I did. But I also had my notifications turned off. So I wasn't even tempted to look. Like, I didn't know they existed until I pulled my app out on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and it was wonderful. And the other thing that was really funny is it was like I retrained these people, these clients that would message me, because even if they did message me on off hours, the majority of the time, they would always say something like, hey, I know you won't get this until Wednesday, but I just had to tell you this while it was fresh on my mind. So it was almost like they just knew, like, hey, you know what? She's not going to get it. I don't expect a response, but I got to tell her this. It was just like a weight lifted off my shoulders. So here are some signs that you are dealing with like an energy vampire. Okay. Again, your body is going to respond. So pay attention to how it is responding. Maybe you feel anxious about seeing this person's name pop up, whether it's on Voxer or through text or on an email or in a Slack channel. You feel drained. You feel drained after hanging out with them. Maybe you're relieved when plans cancel. Come on. You know you've felt that one before. I've definitely felt that. Like, oh, thank God. Your body doesn't lie. Okay. So here's the thing. When you're dealing with people that just, suck it all out of you, you can start simple. Like, you don't have to go ham or balls to the wall all at once. You can start very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So creating like time containers. So saying things like, hey, I have 30 minutes to talk, or I have 30 minutes. What you got? You could also like limit your topics. So an example would be, I'm not discussing insert topic today, or I only have time to discuss this issue. Okay. You could also say things like, got your message? I'll get back to you tomorrow. So again, you're like retraining those people how and when to message you. Okay. Now, this is a big one. And this, I will say, is probably the hardest one of all. And that is creating boundaries within your family. It's tough. I'm not going to lie. It's tough. You may experience some major resistance because these patterns, you got to remember, these patterns have been playing out for probably decades. So again, I would say to start small, stay calm, stay consistent with your boundaries, because like I said, you got to kind of retrain them how to treat you. There's actually a certain person in my life, a very close relative, that absolutely drains me and is just not enjoyable to be around at all. And quite honestly, it gets me really upset when I'm around them, or when I know I have to be around them, because of the way they treat me. They treat my husband, my children, the way they deliberately make plans with other family members right in front of me, and make up lies about me to other people, or make up lies about other people, and it's toxic. Okay. Anyways, because of my relationship to this person, I cannot cut them out of my life, and actually, I don't want to cut them out of my life. You know why? Because I actually genuinely love them so freaking much. And I feel sorry for them. I really, really do, because I know they are acting out. I know that they must be really struggling personally because of their actions. So a few things that I've put in place really over, I would say, the last 6 months, 7 months, maybe a little longer, 7, 8 months, something like that, doesn't matter. But has really, really helped. And honestly, I am happy to say that I can really feel our relationship like making a big turning point. Okay. But I would mentally prepare myself. So when I have a family function to go to, and I know that this person's going to be there, I literally have to remind myself before I go that they're just projecting. They're projecting, and what they may say or do does not affect or reflect who I am as a person. I have to literally have a pep talk with myself. And I just, like I said, I mentally prepare so I don't just like spiral. Okay. I also cut back on how much I was around them. Like I said, I'm not to the point where I want to cut them out of my life. I don't, but I can limit my interactions with them. I also started being like overly positive. Like it's kind of annoying. You know what I'm saying? That kind of positive. So if they start saying like really terrible lies or just things, or you can tell it's just going there, with one of their stories, I just shift the narrative. I literally just change the subject, change the topic, and just let them know, like without me like saying I'm not interested, me shifting and changing the topic lets them know like I'm not interested in engaging. All right. And like I said, it really has started to turn things around, and it's made this individual actually much more enjoyable. And I don't dread it near as much anymore. So you really can reteach even your family how to treat you. And the ones who respect your boundaries are the ones who truly love you back. Period. Okay. Moving on. Setting boundaries at work. It's like, how can you protect your sanity at work? Because that's very, very important. So a couple things here, and I'll try to move through these pretty quickly, but just establishing like on and off hours and stick to them. So like I mentioned earlier, hey, this is when I will be returning messages. End of story. That's it. That's all you got to say. Several years ago, I actually had to do this with my team as well. And I simply sent a group message and said, hey, after 6 p.m., I will not be returning any text messages. So unless it is a dire emergency that cannot wait, just please don't text me so I can be fully present with my children. And it made all the difference in the world, because I would get a voice note at 9 p.m. and I'm also one of those people that feels like I have to respond right away. P.S. because if I don't, I have ADHD and I will forget. So then it would just make me cranky. It would make me resentful. And every time a text would pop up, I'd be like, mother, you know what I'm saying? So again, when I put that boundary in place, they were cool with it. My team was really cool. And so it was like, okay, cool. Then I didn't get text messages after 6 p.m. And if I did, it really was a dire emergency. But honestly, I don't even think I did. But it also allowed me to be fully present when they did need me. Another thing you can do is to just create like physical separation between work and home. So I know a lot of people work from home these days, but I would suggest creating an office where you only go in there during your working hours. This is something that I do. Otherwise, like you will not catch me in my office. That allows me to like physically be able to cut it off if I am not working. Set realistic response times. So urgent doesn't always mean immediate. So if you block focus time, you can, guess what? There's this beautiful thing. It's called Do Not Disturb. I highly recommend it. It's on your phone for a reason. You can let your team know like, hey, I'm not going to be available from this time to this time. I'm filming, I'm writing, I'm, in an important client meeting, whatever. And just let them know. It's really that simple. Like, don't bother me, pretty much, okay? Here's the thing. Top performers, like the most successful people that you see, they are not necessarily working more hours. They are working better hours, okay? Because they are really good at boundaries and they guard their energy like gold. Because success is not about burning out. It's about showing up at your highest level over and over and over again. And last but not least, I feel like I have to mention this, especially in today's world, okay? You gotta set boundaries with your phone. Other than family, I do think this is probably the hardest one of all. I am guilty of it too. Because if you're like me, that phone is tied to your hip. I work on my phone. My husband works on his phone. Our entire team at Superhuman work on their phones. So again, trust me, I get it. It's like, it's essential, right? But I have also learned that there are some practical things that you can do. And these are things that I've personally personally implemented that have really helped me a ton. So number one, this might be a little freaky, but I turn off notifications. Like literally turn them off. I don't even know they exist. So our company, we use Slack, which I love. I'm obsessed with. But in the beginning, it would literally ping me every 60 seconds. I'm not kidding. No joke. Maybe even more. And again, with my ADHD brain, like I quickly realize all of this pinging every few seconds is not going to work for me if I'm going to get anything done. Okay. So now with a simple little click of a button, I just turn off my notifications. Now I still get on there every day. I actually probably once an hour. I get on there throughout the day, but it's on my own time. When I have time, when I'm in a place where I don't have to focus on whatever it is that I'm supposed to be focusing on. You can also even create like a little VIP filter. So only a handful of people can get through. So for me, it's like my children and my husband. And they know, like, if I'm working, like, don't call me. Well, sometimes my kids, they'll still call me, mainly because they want like Taco Bell money or something. But you get what I'm saying. Also, this is huge. I'm telling you, this has been a huge game changer. No social media first thing in the morning. Oh my gosh. I used to grab my phone every morning immediately at 4:30 a.m. every morning, and I would immediately pull up Instagram. But now what I realized, it was just really putting me in a shitty mood. So now I have my coffee, I journal, I feed the kids, feed the dog. Well, no, I don't feed the kids. They're teenagers. They feed themselves, but I do feed the dogs. You know, I get the kids ready. I still curl my daughter's hair every morning. I get them off to school. And then when it's time for me to knock out a big chunk of my steps, that is when I finally pull up social media. And that is when I return messages, return comments, things like that. But I'm telling you, this has made a world of difference in just my mental well-being too, by the way, which is huge. Oh my gosh, this next one. Stop refreshing apps every 5 minutes. Like, just stop. You know who you are, okay? Just don't do it. Like, it's nothing that is that important. Like, nothing's changed, okay? So stop refreshing the apps. I know it's actually, believe it or not, I do think that's easier said than done. But as I wrap this up, I want to say this. Here's the bottom line. Burnout is not a badge of honor, okay? It's a red flag that you don't have any boundaries or your boundaries are broken. Your hustle should build your life, not break it. And I'm not saying don't work hard, okay? Please do not twist my words, because y'all know that I'm about that life, okay? I love hustle. I personally think more people probably need to hustle a little harder, but don't hustle at the cost of your own peace, okay? Don't hustle at the cost of your health. Don't hustle at the cost of your joy, because ultimately what you really want isn't just success. What you want is freedom, more than likely. And real freedom is built through bold, unapologetic, non-negotiable boundaries. That's all for today. Until next time. Stay strong, stay strategic, stay unapologetic. This is Smoke Show.